Welcome to Beer, Bourbon, and Games. I'm your host, Chris, and today we're sitting down at Mccall Collective Brewing. You guys have taken time out of your busy schedules. I know you're extremely busy from looking online from everything you do, so I appreciate all of you guys. Normally I start with introductions, but first I just want to say congratulations to you, the first female brewery owner in this area.
Thank you.
How does it feel to have that title and to see the shift kind of happening?
It's pretty awesome. We tried to lean into the concept of female-owned brewery, and you can see it a little bit with some of the aesthetics here. Different decorations like wallpaper on the walls, and the paint color is supposed to be a little bit more of that homey feel, along with some of the decorations and the vibe in here. So, we know that beer is not just male. Even when you go to breweries, you see plenty of females there. So, definitely a transition on what people thought. But I do think nowadays it is pretty known that females drink beer and craft beer just as much as males. So it's fun to kind of continue that vision of entering with the females into the craft beer world.
Well, it looks like you guys are doing pretty well. You do have 2 locations, so it seems to be working out pretty well. Now that we have that one out of the way, can you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit and say how you got into the craft beer industry?
Sure, I'll start. My name is Mccall. I'm the head brewer here. My journey in the craft industry kind of started, I'll try to keep this as short as possible, around 2012 as a home brewer. Quickly got into, from extract brewing and stuff like that, got into all grain brewing, and then I was brewing 3-4 times a month at one point. And got a job at Sam Adams here in Browningsville, PA, where I was an overnight shift brewer for the better part of 3.5 years. And then I got a job up at Angry Orchard doing some craft ciders, not your typical Angry Orchard stuff, more barrel aging and spontaneous fermentation type of stuff, which eventually landed me a job as head brewer in Coney Islands in New York for 2.5 years. Moved home, had a kid, and opened our brewery here.
Nice.
Yeah, Chris Mccall, Caitlin's husband and CFO. Handle all the paying of the bills, which is really fun. I'm sure Caitlin will tell a similar story. We kind of got into craft beer together. We got married in 2013, but we had met in 2010. And we spent many of our years before children traveling the country, finding craft breweries. We've been to California, Florida, Chicago, and any vacation is usually centered around breweries. Even before we owned one, we always wanted to own our own business. We both worked at corporate America for many years. I worked for Best Buy and Amazon. Caitlin worked for Starbucks and Best Buy as well. And so it kind of made sense when Matt was going through his journey as a brewer to potentially do something as a brewery, since we had somebody in the family that brewed great beer and we had our kind of business experience. So that's how we ended up here.
And so I'm Caitlin Mccall. I'm the owner of Mccall Collective Brewing. And my craft beer journey started back in college. I noticed that I liked the taste of craft beer better. By then, it wasn't really termed craft beer. It was more called good beer in my term. But I started drinking Magic Hat number 9 for a quarter on Wednesday nights and just seeking different craft brews at that time. Sierra Nevada was a big one. And I started working at a restaurant in Spinnerstown called Spinnerstown Hotel. And we, as a server, had to learn about the different styles of beer. And they made a point to really make sure they had a wide selection of craft beer. So I learned about the different styles, and I was able to taste them and kind of be able to categorize them in my mind, and started really enjoying wheat beers. Franzenkirchen was like my first official craft beer. And then since then, it was really hard to go back from trying to find new beers and what I liked about them. I transitioned into IPAs and sours, and I basically like everything, but you kind of go through your phases of which one's your favorite at the time.
Awesome.
And then, as Chris said, we knew we wanted a business, and Matt was brewing, and it just kind of kept going from there.
You have the perfect recipe for opening a brewery, for sure. I have no idea how you have time to do this and everything else that you do, but congrats to you. I know you did open up another location. Can you talk a little bit about what people can expect at both locations?
So the location here is our main location. This is where we do our brewing. We have a 7-barrel system, as you can see. And here we have more of the pub fare. So we do like to put a fresh spin on it. We locally source ingredients that we can from the market. We try to locally source different meats here. But you still have your wings, your chicken sandwiches, a beer battered version of it, quesadillas, egg rolls. We do grain bowls and salads, so it's a little bit of kind of everything. Our burgers are awesome and fresh. And then over at the other spot, that is our barbecue menu. So we have a smoker out back, and we do brisket and ribs and chicken and steak. So the menus are definitely different. When it comes to the beer, here we have 17 beers on draft. There it's only 10. We do pour some out of cans as well, just for some more variety. And then here we do the fresh made cocktails. So we are squeezing our own lemons and limes. We're making our simple syrups. So it keeps it really fresh. We have some wine and cider as well. Over there, we source for a great product of canned cocktails. So they are super delicious as well. It's just a little bit smaller over there, a little bit easier to deliver that cocktail experience when it's pre-made.
And for the people that do come here, I saw that you have a Mccall Collective club, basically, like a mug club. Can you tell the people a little bit about that and how much it costs, all the benefits that they get?
Yeah, it was the first year that we did that was this year, so we've kind of been asked about it since the beginning of opening. You know, that's obviously a common thing at the breweries. So we did ours a little bit differently. So basically the crux of it is it runs March to March every year, but you can join at any time. We don't cap it. There's no limit on the amount of people, and it's basically the idea is that the more you come, the more you get rewarded. So the main perk of the membership is that you get your glass filled. So we bought about 300 glasses, so you don't have like your glass with your name on it, but there's a Collective Club glass that you can fill 3 times during every visit. It's $4.50 for a fill for any beer. So whether you get a triple IPA or you get a Pilsner, or some people get 3 triple IPAs when they come in, you know, it's $4.50 no matter what. So it can save you anywhere from $1.50 to $3 per pour for that amount of ounces. And then if you come in regularly, I mean, you're saving probably a couple $100 by the end of the year. We also do 2 events. So we did one in April. We have another one coming up in September. We did t-shirts this year, so you could get a t-shirt as well with that. And then, you know, it's really just rewarding, again, people coming in. But we do prorate it every month, so like if you go online and buy it right now, it's only $80 for the year, and that does still end in March. So you basically get like 6 months of the membership for $80 right now. So
okay.
Every month it gets a little bit cheaper, and then next March we're going to restart it, and we'll get a brand new glass. So you do get to take one of the glasses home at the end of the year, and then next year we'll do a new logo, new glass, and start it all over in March.
Awesome. And what is the full price for it if they started in March?
It was $100.
$100? Oh,
Yep.
Not bad at all.
$125 with the t-shirt.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome deal. I do like that. There are a lot of breweries do it. It's a really good way to kind of get patrons to come back in all the time.
Yep.
So very good. Now, normally you see Mccall Brewing, Mccall whatever it might be. You guys are Mccall Collective. How did you guys decide on that name versus just the standard?
So obviously there's Mccall Brewing in Idaho. There's a town called Idaho, or called Mccall in Idaho. So that's where they got their name from. Our last name is Mccall, so it was very important for us to have our last name in there. Our dad is, you know, a big beer drinker, has been since the 90s, and he's like, you can't open a brewery and not call it, you know, Mccall. So we were kind of trying to work through that, and we were actually hanging out down at Bond Place in Bethlehem one day, having some beers, kind of talking through some stuff, and it kind of just hit off once. He talked about the recipe that we had for opening a brewery. I brew beer, Chris is good at money stuff, and you know, many other things. Caitlin has the running the business experience, and you know, the female touch, the motherly touch, I should say, for the tap house. And then Craig, our social media guy, is very good at social media stuff, and Sarah, our artist. So we all have this collective group of talents. So that's kind of where the collective part came from. Without any one of us, the business wouldn't work the way it did. So collective seemed like the right word to use.
You guys grew up locally. How does it feel to open a brewery in your area and give back to the community like you have?
I would say that's probably one of my favorite parts of owning a business is the ability that we have to give back to the community. You know, our very first beer that we ever brewed and launched was 100% for nonprofits. So we just covered the cost of brewing, and we donated to 3 organizations that were local here in Allentown that we thought were impacted by impacted by COVID-19 because that's when we opened in 2020. And so since then, at least every month, we're doing a dine and donate. We just had one for a local football team. We'll do different raffles or gift certificates so that people can use that as a fundraiser. So I think it's really important to be a business owner and to contribute to your community. So we definitely like that we're located here so that we can, use our resources to help those around us. Now, as even saying when he comes back from Coney Island, that he wanted to be here in the community, and we wanted Knott's Beer here. We wanted our business here. So it's probably the highlight of having a business is being able to contribute to the community you're from and that you're in.
I'm sure they appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Plus, you guys are making good beer, so it's a win-win on both regards.
You like your Fresh Coast?
I do. I love Fresh Coast. I love West Coast IPAs. It is fantastic. I also tried the Swamp Bass. That was really, really good.
Good pronunciation. That's really good.
Hey, I'm trying. I haven't drank enough yet where I'm going to slur it. Now, this one's for you. She was showing us around some of the labels we have over here. Ingenious marketing. I absolutely love it. But how do you approach making a new beer? How do you decide what's coming next?
There's not an easy answer to that. I mean, I kind of, things just kind of come to me, whether it's, we recently did a Toy Story theme one, and I was watching Toy Story with a 2.5-year-old, and that's kind of where that one hit. And, I could be listening to Post Malone, and that's where that one will hit. It's kind of all over the place. And there's also, we towed the line a little bit with some of them. We pushed the limits, probably a little too far, but I've always been a self-proclaimed pun master. So I love a good pun or a good, reference to something funny. So I honestly, I can't really explain it. It just kind of comes to me sometimes, and then I usually figure out the name first and the beer second.
Okay.
A lot of people ask me that question too. Sometimes we have a beer that we need a name for, and that's actually one of the biggest struggles for us. Is if we are like, we need to make this kind of beer, what are we going to call it? That's usually the hard ones for me. I'm more of a natural. I'll be driving somewhere and think of something and put it in motion.
It's never a straight line with coming up with new beers. I will say that it's never like, all right, guys, we need a beer. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Sometimes it's like Matt will come up with a name, and we're like, all right, let's try to work that in somehow. Other times it's like, all right, October's coming. We need like we did Ghost Malone, so we have Roast Malone, which is our everyday like coffee amber ale. We had like Halloween coming up. We're like, all right, what can we do for Halloween? And it's like we sit down, we talk. All right, well, we want like something heavier. So like, all right, well, let's play off something we already have. Let's put Roast Malone in a ghost costume and brew a like 10% version of it. Basically,
Roast Malone in a ghost costume.
So it's like sometimes it's dumb stuff like that, and then other times it's like we know we want to brew a certain style of beer. Like, we haven't brewed like we did a shandy, you know what I mean? So we've never done a shandy yet. So we're like, all right, well, what can we call it? All right, well, it's got to be like summery. So we ended up like tank tops and tan lines. And then Sarah, who's our artist, then takes like the name, and in some cases Matt gives her a lot of inspiration for the art. Sometimes it's just her drawing stuff, And then we've created a couple series that we're pretty proud of too. So like we have our One Hop Wonder series. So that was a kind of a collective, idea. I think it was Sarah that came up with the name, but it was basically like you have all these hops. How do you like do a one hop series? So we just did it around artists. So like we have Johnny Kashmir, and we have Simcoe and Garfunkel, and Brew Tang, and so it's a band, but it's a hop, and it all comes together. And they're different styles. We have a Tangerine Milkshake IPA. A lot of them are like doubles. So we have a sour IPA called Silly Willy, which is a Willie Nelson beer. And then we also have a Hop Guy series. So we have these little tattoos, and Sarah started it one time. Like she put it on one can. And now we kind of like them, so now we send these little hop guys on all kinds of adventures. They've been through the woods, down the river, down water park slides. In the saddle. So it's just like a fun thing to like, and those are all IPs as well. So.
Do you guys each have that hop tattoo?
Oh, I wimped out. I have the hop vine.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out where to put a little hop guy on my body, so I didn't.
Nice. I just recently finally put a hop tattoo on me. It's on my leg. But I don't have that. That guy's kind of cool though.
Yeah,
you guys
he's
need
cute.
to like
One
make little
day.
plushies out of that. I would definitely.
Or like like little squeeze guys
Yeah, like
that
stress
go
bead.
back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It looked like from your tap list that you guys are pretty spread out in styles. Do you have any niche you would say that you're trying, or just kind of all styles for all people?
I get this question a lot. I think my personal niche and our pun intended collective niche is that we have something for everybody. I would say that my favorite thing to brew is lagers or saisons. That's what brings me the most joy when I'm brewing them. Is that what I'm best at? I don't know. That's not for me to decide. But I think it's super important for us to be able to walk into a brewery and you have 8 people who like 8 different things and have an option for every single person. Walking into places that have 9 IPAs and 1 cream ale is like not very much fun. So I think that's our niche is making sure that we have variety at all times. You're never ever going to walk in here and see a super dominated tap house. So
It's probably one of the most challenging things I would say, like, to this point, and now that we're 2 years in. At first, it was kind of like, all right, this is easy, let's just keep racking out new beers. But then you have, like, then you start to get people who are like, when are you bringing back this beer? Oh, I love that beer, why don't you have it on draft? So now you're in the middle of trying to balance, like, old favorites, new beer, seasonal beer. And I would say, like, main thing is, like, we would love to be even more, I want to say, like, balanced, but I would love to have, like, 4 lagers on. But, like, we have 4 tanks total, so, and every lager takes 6 weeks. So if I had 4 lagers on, I would only have 4 lagers on, and that would be it. So, like, we're kind of limited in space. Now we did just add a 15 barrel lager tank to our back porch. So we're trying to, like, get as creative as we can with space. Same thing with, like, barrel aging. Like, we would love to barrel age some of our beers and do that, but, we're in a 150-year-old building in South Allentown. Like, we don't have barrel racks and things like that. So I think we do as best we can with our limited space. But hopefully one day we'll get more production space and be able to, like, even further expand into some sour, funky beers and barrel-aged stuff and even more in the lager game. For now, Matt does an awesome job keeping us as balanced as we can be.
Awesome.
And kind of to go full circle with that, you were asking about how we come up with the beers, and we were referring to how we're like, okay, well, we need this style beer. What does that name and what does that mean? And it's because we try to make sure we're balanced. So we'll look and say, okay, we now need this type of beer to come fill the draft line. So we actively really try to make sure that we have a beer for everyone.
Okay.
And I told Chris, the money guy, early on, I have 2 dreams. One is a lager tank, and one is a fooder. We got one done, so maybe
We'll put the fooder on the front porch next year.
Well, you're doing really well with the small little space you have behind over here. I was going to ask kind of about your system. I can't see it really for you. Is it a 2-vessel system?
It's a 2-vessel system.
Okay.
So we have it's oversized, so it's 7 barrel. We can fit about 950 to 1,000 pounds of malt in the mash tun, and our kettle can hold about 8.5 barrels. So
Okay.
we're usually going in, unless it's a hazy IPA, we're usually going into the fermenter with 8 barrels of wort, which allows us to extract about 7 to 7.5 finished product on our lighter beers, like our cream ale and our beers that aren't heavily hopped. But our IPAs, we're still able to get about 6.5 barrels per, which is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
For a 7-barrel system.
Pretty good efficiency. Is that an HLT the whole way at the end?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah, so it's 16-barrel HLT. We have an oversized heat exchanger. We have an oversized glycol system, which thank God we do because we just added more tanks.
Yes.
We do.
Gotta keep them cold.
4 vertical fermenters and a bright tank. Now we have the 15-barrel horizontal outside with a 15-barrel bright tank as well.
So for all of you guys in general, what or who is your biggest influence in the beer industry?
I can go first. I always say, for me, like, Trogs, I mean, obviously they're huge, but, I think about, like, what they've done from, like, a branding, marketing standpoint. You have, like, your everyday beers that people know and love, whether it's Perpetual IPA, Troganator, Sunshine Pills, but then, they're one of the few brands that consistently the past 10 years of my life, I'm like, Blizzard of Hops is June, Nugget Nectar's January, or Blizzard of Hops is not June. Blizzard of Hops is November, Nimble Giant's June. So, like,
I love Nimble Giant.
They do just such a great job where they do, like, these one-time releases, people seek them out, it's been years and years and years, and people still seek them out. So we try to, like, at least I try to take, like, when I'm doing, like, beer production planning, some of that same methodology is, like, being able to provide certain beers all year round. Like, we always have Lehigh on. We try to always keep, like, Shucks on. There's certain beers that we have on regularly, and then there's a lot of stuff we do seasonally, and then we just mix in old favorites as well. But it's like everything tells a little bit of a story. There's a brand behind it. People get used to those kind of things, and it just creates like a routine consumer cycle of like spending, I guess, right? Where you're like giving people a reason to come back, not just for the same everyday stuff, but then for the seasonal stuff and new stuff as well.
Yeah, excitement. You gotta. I mean, unfortunately for the beer industry, it's always like, what's next? A lot of people get that FOMO when it comes to beer.
Yeah.
So, but if people know something's coming out, they'll come back. And congrats to Trogs, they just hit 25 years.
25 years,
so
yeah.
It's astronomical what they've done from Harrisburg to now. Hershey is huge. They're building another expansion for canning and all that stuff. So they keep going.
Yep.
For me, it's a really tough question to answer. I mean, locally, Sanford Bond Place has been a huge influence on me since I started my career in the brewing industry. Healthful, his beers are amazing, so I've always kind of modeled myself not only after how he brews beer, but how he is as a human. But commercially, I mean, like, Trogs is a great one, but I also love, some traditional Belgian breweries, some traditional German breweries, and I guess my biggest thing is like, I kind of look at it like when you're making a dish at home and you're cooking, you look up a recipe and you say, all right, here's the recipe. I went to culinary school, so I like to change it and make it my own. So all right, now I have the base recipe, but I want to change it. And I kind of do the same thing. Perfect Union, I looked at Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, clone recipe, and said, all right, how can I change this to make this my own while still paying homage to the traditional thing. So I do that a lot, and I don't think there's any shame in doing that. I think a lot of brewers are like, no, I need to do everything myself. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I mean, you gotta. The reason that people are, like Trogs and Sierra Nevadas of the world doing so well is because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think it's just a great way to pay homage to them. So.
I mean, they're obviously brewing great beer 25 years. Like, it's not an accident. But Bond Place, we were just there last night. Really cool place.
Yeah.
The bartenders were so nice, very knowledgeable as well. I think it was Allie. She gave us some cask lessons, which was really cool. You don't really see casks or firkins too often, so it was really cool to see what they were doing there. So what about you?
I would say it's kind of where I'm at in the journey. So I mentioned how I waitressed at a place that served craft beer. So John Dale is the owner of there. So he kind of was influential in my continuing within craft and kind of diving into it. Russian River did a really good job of teaching us how to have a small amount and drive that business there. So we went to California and went there, and every beer we got a flight of 18, and every single one was the best pale I had, the best IPA I had. It was awesome. So we got to experience that. And then I would say both Dogfish Head and Sierra Nevada are a tie. So Sam Calderon is like very fun and funky, where I'm not quite that fun and funky. I'm a little bit more like calm and traditional, but I like to add that kind of aspect into our beer here and our place and kind of find a spot for everybody. So, the more I continue within this beer journey, the more I just find kind of different places and people you can relate to and pull from them and add, own tools to your tool belt that you learn from everybody.
So that's a great one, actually. I'm going to piggyback off of that because I totally forgot about Sam from Dogfish Head. I take a lot of inspiration out of him. He works a lot with culinary ingredients, and black limes, and sea salt, and kind of fun spices and herbs. And I draw a lot of inspiration out of that, and I completely blanked on that. We mess around with tarragon, and we did a beer with hot honey and lime puree. It's fun, and being a culinary guy myself, I enjoy it.
Sam has been an answer for a few different people now. Sorry, I said Sam Adams because they're in partnership with him. He just kind of did his own thing and created a very successful business, and he remained a good guy, which doesn't always happen. Business and success can change you. They have fantastic beers though, 120 Minute, Namaste. They have some great ones. The Utopia from Sam Adams was really, really good. I've had some Utopia. It's a great beer.
Got a few bottles.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cognac at its point, but it's fantastic. So you said Russian River, kind of keep it small. They're perfect with that, with their Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Younger, only there. Do you guys distribute it all? Plans of distribution, or what can people do to get your beer?
Currently, we do a very small amount of distribution. So our flagship IPA, Lehigh, is a 7% hazy, delicious, fantastic beer. So we'll get that in a couple of local restaurants. We'll have a couple of cases that go to some local distributors. And past that, we have our sour, our raspberry hit and dingers at the Iron Pig Stadium. It's Coca-Cola Park. It's AAA right here in Allentown. And so that's big because we'll make sure that they always have a bunch of kegs. But with our size system, it's really hard to make distribution a part of our business model. We want to make sure that we have our beer in-house, especially now with a second location. We want you to be able to come and get the beers. We want 17 beers on draft. We want the 10 plus the ones some in cans. So the plan is really to kind of keep it home. When we do distribution, it's just more of a little bit of some marketing, get us out there. It's not on a large scale, and I don't think we really plan to make it a large scale. We do a really good job of packaging and having everything in 4-packs available. So if you want, the beer, come here, come meet us. There's a chance to have brewers around, one of the owners are around, our bartending staff is amazing, and so you get the experience then when you're picking up from us. And with our size system, it just makes more sense to keep everything a little closer to home.
For your canning, are you doing a mobile canner, filling from the lines, or?
We have a single head twin monkey filler.
Okay.
So we can generally do about 10 to 15 cases an hour, depending on the style, depending on the carbonation level. But it actually, for the size system we have, it's a great piece of machinery. We can usually knock out about 30 cases in 2.5 to 3 hours, which is generally about the most we're doing at a time, unless we have a really special release. Yeah, it works great.
Not bad, especially for the size that you have. It's
we don't really have room for
very limited, and canning stuff is not cheap at all. As a business finance guy, and I'm sure you've looked at the prices for that stuff, and mobile canning cuts into your actual profit, so it's not really worth it, especially since it's not really your market to kind of go out past that. But we're going to end with just the important stuff. How can people find you? What's your address of here? Your Instagram, Facebook, all of that good stuff. How can people find you out?
All right, so we have our main locations at 102 East Susquehanna Street, Southside Allentown. I tell people it's right over the hill from Fountain Hill, right before you hit downtown Allentown, basically. So right on Susquehanna, super easy to find. We have about 15 parking spots and then free off-street parking, so it's super easy to get here. We're open 7 days a week here. We're open for lunch every single day. We do brunch on Sundays, so you pretty much can't miss Susquehanna Street. We're here all the time. Our second location we just opened on Memorial Day of this past year. It's a small, quaint little place, as Caitlin was describing. That's out in Briningsville, so it's basically right behind the Velodrome. So if you're coming down from 222 and Route 100, it's basically right at that intersection, half a mile on the right-hand side. We're open 6 days a week there currently. We'll probably be open, we're closed on Tuesdays. I'm sure by the end of summer we'll be open Tuesdays there as well. So those are the two main locations. We have to-go beer at each of those locations, so if you're looking to get something and don't want to come in and have a full meal, you can get usually anywhere between 5 to 10 different varieties of to-go beer at either of those locations. And then we have a full website, McCallCollectiveBrewing.com. So just make sure you don't Google McCall Brewing, you'll end up in Idaho. But McCallCollectiveBrewing.com. We have an online merch store there, so we sell t-shirts, tank tops, hats, hoodies, the whole deal. That's direct print right to you. We sell online gift cards. You can make reservations for our Susquehanna Street only. And then, of course, we're on majority of the social medias. We have not gotten into TikTok yet, but we have Instagram. It's at McCall Beer, and then, of course, Facebook, McCall Collective Brewing. So we do lean on social media pretty heavy, so if you're looking to follow along with new beers, special events, we have our 2-year anniversary coming up in August, for example. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff like a pig roast, a clam seafood boil, some bands, all that stuff. Just follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and that's your best bet because we post on there, at least 3 or 4 times a week. So.
I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from you guys. So I follow you, and the food pictures are a tease. The food looks fantastic, so I think we're gonna definitely get some food here.
Yeah.
So keep going at it. Whoever's doing your marketing, your social media stuff, they're fantastic at what they're doing. I want to thank all of you guys for sitting down here with today. I know you guys are extremely busy. Is there any last things that you'd like to say to the people watching at home?
I did want to say, I know you just touched on it at the end. We actually have awesome food at both locations. If you see our reviews, everybody comments, great food, great beer, great atmosphere, and that's kind of what we're going through, and great customer service. So those are really what we prioritize, and Anthony in the kitchen works so hard, and we have a great kitchen staff in general, but we really, we're known for our beer, but we really are also known for our food too, and it's fantastic. So, we have something for everybody, whether it's a different type of drink or something special to eat. I just wanted to kind of highlight that you can come out here and you'll get a great meal with your beer as well.
Which is awesome. Normally when you think of a bar, you think of just, it's bar food. But from the pictures and everything you guys do, it seems way more than that. And for the people that don't drink, like my wife, she comes for the food at places, so she appreciates that, people like you exist where you have good food. Well, I want to thank you guys for sitting down with me today. I know you guys are busy. If you're new to the channel, think about hitting the subscribe button.
Okay.
And I'll catch you guys back on the next episode of Beer, Bourbon, and Games.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Guys.
Smash the subscribe button.
Turn on notifications. Give us a huge thumbs up.